on the note of you saying thinking it's okay, dude, like, again, a majority of dudes that I knew in high school thought porn was totally normal, right? So it's a thing where, like, not only is it bad for you, but it's not good for you, and a majority of your guy friends are telling you that it's a totally right and okay thing to do.
Right. You hit on the nail. I remember when we had this discussion, and my girlfriend at the time, we were discussing like what the mind does, and I also told her about my porn addiction and my battles with it, and telling her I went to the extent of deleting my Instagram. You remember when I deleted my first account, deleted that, deleted YouTube, Twitter, anything that was even stimulating even a bit. And she's like, dude, like, why don't you just have self-control? Like, it shouldn't be that hard to just be like, oh, there's a bikini swimsuit. All right, keep scrolling. 80% of the time, it's really not going to do anything to you. But it's that 20% of the time that you're trying to be mindful about, like, 1 out of every 5 times, I might like take that picture and then go down the rabbit hole with it, right? So if I know that that one time might happen, all right, it's not worth having the whole app. So like you said, cleaning up the Explore page, making sure that, you know, if you can't have it at all, like removing it. And there was a point I wanted to say about, I lost it, but it was such a good point. Oh, it was so good. I was about to crush it. But yeah, dude, like just porn in general is just like something that is changing the landscape of our time, bro. It's changing the landscape. And I think women, because women also engage in it, and this is my point, women do engage with it, but not to the extent that men do. Every man that I've talked to, every homie, every colleague, every coworker, yeah, I've watched porn. Yeah, I've even had like struggles with it, years of struggle. Like you and I are not like dissimilar from like the thousands of people, the millions of guys out there
Millions
that are dealing with the same issues. Like, yeah, I've struggled with porn for years. Yeah, it's it. But women, when I've told women, they're like, ew, you watch that? Ew, like, it's like they can't think that your mind is stuck in that space. They're like, oh yeah, watch it when I want to just deal in that way, but it doesn't impact me on a day-to-day basis. So you can see just how different these two genders are as it relates to this topic.
Yeah. Like whenever I've talked this with women, girlfriend, etc., I've never really met a woman that watches porn consistently, or even remotely consistently. Like men, we're visual, we're stimulated that way. That's why we tend to look at pictures and videos, etc. That's why, like, that's how you get us, right? So we got to be careful about the things that we consume. We got to be careful about the things that we look at, the things that we watch. How much time do we have left? Because I know we can only record 40 minutes. What are we at right now?
Let's say we're at like 25. Let's say we have about 10, 12 minutes.
Oh, sick. Okay, we got 10, 12 minutes left. Yeah. But like this is the thing. I want to go back to this. I've noticed from the men that I've talked to that are older that weren't brought up within the high-speed internet age, right? Maybe they started seeing a little bit of porn when they're 23, 25, 30 something. They feel like they can drop it and whatever whenever they want. They don't feel that it's formed something deep within them. Some maybe it has, but the people that the guys that I really want to kind of talk to about this or get this message to are the guys, the millennials, okay, or guys that came up and started this when they were young teens, and now we're in an age where kids are viewing this maybe at 10 years old, 10, 11, 12. There's the VR stuff that's going to be occurring too. Like this thing really does stuff to the brain that's forming. And our generation was the experiment. We were the experiment. We were the ones that got first hands on it. And you can really tell kind of like the effect that it's had. But the problem is that this should not be seen. Internet porn should not be seen as something normal. It shouldn't be, like, you got individuals in this sexual freedom movement or whatever, that's fine or whatever, but they're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with pulling up a little porn here and there and relieving yourself or whatever. Nah, you can't tell me that getting in front of a screen in a dark room, having your cocoa butter or your curry or your lotion of choice bottle
Mother,
next to you,
no.
pumping that lotion, pulling down your pants, and
Why do you have to be
going to town.
why do you have to be so explicit? Like, people get
Bruh,
it.
I
People
want people to
know.
get the image. I
Good
want you to
grief.
see me. I want you to see it. I want you to imagine it. I want you to see how weird it
Big
is.
old black gorilla guy.
Bruh, but that's the thing. You cannot tell me that this is a normal
It's
thing
not.
to do.
It's not.
It's not.
Because as soon as it's over, what do you feel? What's the first emotion you feel?
Oh,
Guilty.
I did it again.
I did it again.
I want this to be understood. Both Brian and I were Christian men, okay?
Right.
But and there's stuff biblically against this, but I'm not coming at this from the biblical perspective, because I know some people that listen aren't Christian, right? I don't even, like, I'm not telling you to look at this from that perspective. I'm telling you to look at this purely from a developmental and a progressive perspective. Like, it literally damages the way you look at the opposite sex. Men have erectile dysfunction because now they can't perform when an actual woman's in front of them. Why? Because they've been stimulating themselves to a computer screen for their whole lives.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No woman, it doesn't matter who it is, no woman can measure up to the false reality that porn provides. No woman. And so what you're doing is, and no matter how you think you receive it, subconsciously your mind is saying, this is who I've been with, this is the kind of experiences I like, this is how I'm turned on. So when a normal person, a normal, beautiful, intelligent woman is in your space, you can't reconcile these two different things. You're like, all right, well, you're not measuring up to Pamela Anderson or whatever.
Yo, last week I just had these two chicks, and they like, that's the thing. That's what the mind thinks. Your mind thinks that you were just doing that.
Yeah, but in like reality, you're just like some guy in the basement. Like, you weren't really in those spaces, but now you're breaking self-esteem of those women. You're messing with the there's like an emotional neglect that comes in those spaces, because again, you and I, men, are physical creatures, but women are emotional creatures. They are stimulated by emotion, connection, vulnerability. So if you're absent in those physical spaces, fit in those physical encounters, they're like, oh, what's wrong with me? They start looking at themselves, right? And this is very damaging long term. So that's a very good point. It's like, even if you're not looking at it from a Christian perspective, looking at it from a pragmatic way of thinking, that if you want to be a whole person and you want to create long-lasting and sustainable relationships around you, not just with other women or men or whomever, just people, you have to realize how much this is harming you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's why, like, honestly, like, I am like, people that know me know that I've had a porn addiction in the past. Not like it's something that I bring up all the time, but I'm not I don't hide it, and I don't hide it because it's like it's something that I feel like a lot of men might feel ashamed of it. First off, they'll look at it and they'll like, this isn't a porn addiction. All guys watch porn.
Yeah.
Right. A lot.
Or the flip is that it's like, oh, why are you watching so much porn? Is it because you're unable to deal with real-time conversations or encounters with real women? So it's like, I think that's where the stigma comes from. It's like, oh, you're watching porn because you can't perform in other areas. And it's like, I think they're not mutually exclusive.
You're right. Like, let's kind of, we have limited time, but like, even on that kick, porn will affect you as a man of being able to actually have the confidence and feel adequate in courting someone of the other sex.
Right.
Like, it's going to affect your communication. It's going to affect the way you look at them.
Without a doubt.
Like, it'll affect all of that. Like, these are all reasons, like, to try and free yourself of that. And it's hard. It's very hard. Like, let me tell you this. I felt bad about it when I think I started feeling bad about it like a few years after, because I was just like, I just felt kind of nasty. And again, it was just because it just made me feel tired. It made me feel weak, whatever. I just didn't feel right about it. And it took me 9 or 8 years to successfully fully kick it. And these were years where I was like, I was good for a few months, boom, relapse, relapse,
Yep.
relapse. Good for a few months, boom, relapse. Even in my last relationship, there were relapses that happened every now and then. Every few months, there'd be a relapse that would happen.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter even if you're with someone. This is something that can still have a hold on you, but you really got to work to get free of it, because it's not before the 2000s, this wasn't a normal thing. This wasn't a normal part of daily life, and we're not evolved to be able to handle that much stimulus.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on the nail. I think all of us are dealing with this in a variety of different ways, and like I told you, me being in the house too often now, I could feel it kind of like trying to pick back up. And so like you said, it's like, no, being able to kind of move away from it. And
Hi, O'Brien.
I hate you so much. Trying to find ways to circumvent that, because even if this was a thing, not in my past relationship, but more so when we talk about Instagram and just these like social media platforms, I think that was more damaging than actually going towards like the Pornhubs or the X videos, whatever that was. So the objective of this conversation today was just to have like an informal, funny.
Sorry, real quick, hold your thought. Some guy is probably like, wait up. So he said X videos, spank bang, and
I have all these new content. But the purpose of today was to have a very fun, lighthearted, albeit very immature conversation around porn, right? And throwing in some like details that we've learned along the way in our own personal experiences with it. Because the next show we have, I'm super excited, and I don't know if we should even tell them who's going to be on the show yet, but I'll let you guys tune in and find out. But this individual has had his own bout with pornography, and he talks about how it's impacted his life, his marriage, his kids, and how he was able to restore relationships and actually tell his truth today. So I think that this is super powerful, because a lot of young men, a lot of older men, what have you, have dealt with this in some degree. And it's like, it's worth talking about, especially in this time of COVID-19, when a lot more folks are engaging with it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I think me and you also, because that episode that we're about to air, we did this episode, I don't know, I think it was last year sometime.
Yeah.
But I want us to have another episode where we potentially go into like actual tactics, because it's like there's trying to get yourself free of it, and there's actually setting up boundaries. There's setting up, me and you, I'm like, we have a group of friends that we're able to talk to about stuff like this. So it's much more helpful if you have a community of people that are behind you and got your back, because I'll tell you this, it is super hard to be able to try and get free of that crap alone. It's super difficult.
Oh, without a doubt.
So there's a lot of ways to make this successful for you if you're trying to quit the habit, because we both know how difficult that habit is to quit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
difficult. I think
All right, you take us out, bro.
Take us out. Well, thank you guys so much for just tuning in. And again, this is going to be a part of a 3-part episode.
Maybe four.
We'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see how
this
far.
is a big thing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to dive deep, get some more information, bring you guys a lot more science behind it. What is it doing to the brain? Looking at like different people who've dealt with it. And then obviously, like Nsima mentioned, tactics. How do you beat this thing? How do you like just become more whole people and more complete people overall? So we'll be talking about all these things moving forward, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. You guys take care. Peace. Be well out there. Stay safe.